Novel Audio presents The Science of Middle-earth, A New Understanding of Tolkien and His World, by Roland Le Huc, Loïc Mongeon, and Jean-Sébastien Steyer. Read for you by Ralph Lister. Tolkien, Lord of the Sciences. How are the Elvish language and Old English related? What is the geology of Middle-earth? How does the dragon Smaug fly? You don't need to be a scientist or a Tolkien specialist to answer these questions. All you have to do is listen to this audiobook. In 1937, John Ronald Reuel Tolkien left an indelible mark on the history of fantasy with The Hobbit, originally written for his children. The multi-talented author, Oxford University professor, philologist and poet, would repeat this success with his best-known works, including The Lord of the Rings, 1954 to 1955, and The Silmarillion, published posthumously in 1977. Passionate about mythology and languages, which he entertained himself by inventing, Tolkien left behind a complex legendarium, an imaginary world so rich, fully formed and elaborate, that it serves as an outstanding argument in favor of science as entertainment. That is the goal of this audiobook, to use Tolkien's universe, its history, languages, geography, monsters and characters, to speak about the human, physical and natural sciences. We are well aware of how many themes there are to be explored, how many questions raised. But though we cannot be exhaustive, we hope to be listener-friendly and to share knowledge with a wide audience. We have no desire to shatter the fantasy of Tolkien's creation, much less to criticize the man himself. Rather, we hope to show how the sciences can enrich the world. Welcome to the Middle-earth of science, a cross-disciplinary and sometimes undisciplined journey through the land of Tolkien. And if you come back, you will not be the same. Roland Le Huc, Loïc Mongeon, and Jean-Sébastien Steyer. Tolkien and the Sciences, a relationship with many faces. Isabelle Pontin, historian, École Normale Supérieure. Tolkien saw himself primarily as a poet and a creator of myths through words, but he was certainly just as much a scientist, if we keep to a fundamental and therefore timeless definition of science. The rational effort made to learn about and understand natural reality, from the organization of the cosmos to human activity and production. If, on the other hand, we limit ourselves to the standard, caricatural definition of modern Western science, dominated by models created by and for physics and mathematics, and engaged in a conquering approach based on technology, the analysis demands far greater nuance. We must then examine these two approaches separately. Tolkien had a scientific mind in the broadest sense, not the kind defined by the philosopher Gaston Bachelard, perhaps, or by others for whom the aptitude for objective knowledge could not exist before the advent of the modern era, but rather that of Plato, Aristotle, and Roger Bacon, 1214 to 1294, that insatiably curious, admirable doctor who had preceded him at Oxford, albeit some 7 centuries earlier, and occupying a different chair. Tolkien loved the real world, and he was curious about it, and wanted to have an unbiased relationship with it. Endowed with a sharp, critical mind, he maintained a cordial loathing for the sort of convoluted, pretentious discourse on any subject which offered false access to knowledge, while simultaneously acting as an opaque and deceptive barrier. A refusal to lie about reality. To express his disgust for pretense, Tolkien often used the word bogus, meaning cheap and artificial, and often associated with trickery and fraud. He uses it, for example, in a 1968 letter to Time Life International, Letters number 302, in which he declines to have a series of photos taken in a work setting, pointing out that he and the agency clearly have different definitions of the word natural, as
Sample complete. Ready to continue?